In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the trim command. Now, the trim command changed in AutoCAD Release 2021. So before I get started with the new changes, I'll show you how to use the trim command if you're using an older release of AutoCAD, so 2020 or older. And the way we're going to do it, I'm going to be up here on my on my home ribbon under the Modify panel. There's the trim command. Some older releases do not have the scissors. I believe the scissor icon showed up in 2020, I believe. So the trim command is right here. Again, like anything, there's so many ways you can start the trim command. You can either click on this icon here. You can do the pull down menu. So if you go to Modify, you can find trim. You can type TR, enter. That'll start the trim command for you. So in previous releases, what AutoCAD would initially ask you for is to select the cutting edge. So the cutting edge is kind of like, if you want to think of it as the knife that actually does the cutting. So if I, for example, wanted to trim this piece of this line, let me zoom in a little bit. If I wanted to trim this piece of the line off right here, the first thing I would need to do is select this line as my cutting edge. Then I would press enter. You could have multiple cutting edges. You would press enter and then you would click on this line. So an easy way around that would be to start the trim command, and if you just press enter right when you start it, then everything becomes a cutting line and you can just click on the line that you want to have disappear. Another difference is when you had kind of a freestanding line. Let me just trim this little piece right here. If you had a freestanding line like this where it didn't actually cut or cross over any other edges, so there was no cutting edge to define here, you would not be able to trim that piece of the line. You would have to stop the command and go erase any freestanding lines that you end up with. So that's 2020 and older, but starting in 2021, they actually made a lot of changes to this trim command. So when I start the command, I'm going to press escape to end that command and I'll start it again. So I'll click up here. When I start the command, by default, everything is a cutting edge, so I don't have to press enter when I first start this command. I can just click on what I want to have disappear. Now normally, I would get to this point and I would have to go in the trim command and erase those two lines because they're not crossing over anything else. But in 2021, another change they made was it'll actually erase and trim. So it's pretty cool that it does that. This is, if you've been using AutoCAD for a while, this is a really awesome thing that they've done. It's really honestly my favorite thing that they did in 2021. So as I'm coming through here, I can just click what I want to have trimmed. Any line that you want to have go away. We use that trim command a lot. This is probably one of the main commands that we use when we're drawing in AutoCAD. I'm going to show you an example. Let's say we've got walls to a house that we've drawn and we've offset them in. We drew the exterior walls for the like a rectangle, and we offset them in some distance for the interior wall, but you still have these lines here. We would want walls to be hollow, so we would come in here and just trim out the walls, just as an example. Another cool thing that you can do with 2021, again, this doesn't work in other releases, but you can click to start and just drag your mouse and it will trim everything that it touches. So there we go. I've just trimmed everything in my drawing. When you're done with the trim command, you can press enter and it just ends the trim command there for you.